Off-road oriented bikes are awesome because they can take you anywhere you want to go, mostly. But the problem with most of them is seat height. If you're a 6-footer, no problem. However, shorter riders want to ride off-road too, and unfortunately, all of that ground clearance and suspension travel comes with tall seats, usually in the 34-inch range and up, sometimes way up. What to do? Well, when my wife Brooke, who is 5'7", got her Honda CRF 300L Rally, which came with an advertised 34.4-inch seat height, more like 36 when I actually measured, we bought and installed a Kubo Link, dropped the forks slightly, had the seat shaved, and boom, problem solved. The bike handles well and fits Brooke much better. Some manufacturers like Suzuki and Yamaha offer factory lowering kits for their bikes. You buy the bike, then the kit, then you pay the dealership to install it. Kawasaki went one better with the new KLR 650S and KLX 230S models offering a lowered from the factory option, same price as the standard model. So I got the new lowered KLR 650S for a week to test it out. What is this bike like on and off-road, and how does it compare to the standard model? Stay tuned for the full details, and as always, if you find this content valuable and you want to support this small channel, please remember to subscribe and like and share this video with friends, especially ones who are fed up with ADV and dual sports with monster seat heights. The KLR 650 is a bit of an institution. A bike that has been around since the 80s with only 2 meaningful updates, and while most know of this bike's features, I'll go over them quickly. I do have a full review of the standard KLR 650, the adventure version actually, on my channel, so if you want to check that out, click the link in the top right corner. This bike can best be described as the perfect apocalypse motorcycle. It can do almost everything, riding 2 lanes, touring long distance, going 2 up and going off-road. It isn't the best at any of these things, but considering its ridiculously low price for a 651cc adventure bike, $6,900 US or 8,000 Canadian, it is very versatile and could basically be ridden around the world in any conditions. So the KLR is the least expensive mid-sized adventure bike. It's not powerful, around 40 horsepower and 40 pound-feet of torque, enough to cruise the highway at 80 miles per hour or 130 kilometers per hour. It's not light, weighing in at 456 pounds or 460 for the versions with ABS. It's not terribly sporty, though this lower one is better than the original. But it has a huge 6.1 gallon or 23 liter fuel tank, which gives it an honest 500 kilometer or 300 mile range, has that Japanese reliability, and can be outfitted with everything you need for almost any trip or adventure you can think up. At this price, it's hard to even complain about the fact that it has 5 gears and that the big thumper makes the mirrors vibrate. So how does this S version compare to the standard bike? The weight and all the components are the same. Engine, fuel capacity, instrument cluster, still no tach or gear indicator by the way, wheels, tires, bodywork, etc. What has changed is the seat height, which now measures 32.1 inches from the ground versus the 34.3 inches on the original. For a smaller rider like Brooke, that's the difference between I'm never riding this bike and I'll ride it a little. How is this feat achieved? The suspension travel has been shortened on the S. The non-adjustable forks now have 6.7 inches of travel versus the original 7.9, and the shock, adjustable for rebound damping and spring preload, now compresses 7 inches versus 8 on the standard. In addition, the new seat has been shaved down to make it considerably thinner and more firm. Which seat appeals to you is a matter of personal preference. I'm not crazy about either one, but they're both marginally better than the plank on my Tenere 700, so I shouldn't criticize. The geometry of the S has changed slightly, with the bike losing an inch of wheelbase, the rake going from 30 to 29.5 degrees, and the trail shrinking from 4.8 to 4.6 inches. Kawasaki engineers tried to optimize the performance of this new bike to avoid any weird handling characteristics. Have they succeeded? On pavement, yes. The bike rides steady on the road and holds a line at speed and fast sweepers. I would say that on pavement it handles considerably better than the original, which tended to wallow a lot more. The new suspension does a good job of composing the bike, and I can confidently say that the S is a lot more fun on a twisty road than a standard KLR. There is a slight tendency for the bike to weave at very slow speeds, possibly due to the steeper rake and maybe the tires. But this is not a deal breaker and is worth it for the amount of road performance the new bike gains. Mind you, it's still no Tenere, but it's better than the Wallowy original. Neither KLR could be described as sporty, but the S is a lot closer to it. Off-road, it's another story. The shorter and steeper S is more twitchy in deep sand and less stable than the taller, longer original. The tires on both versions are also quite road-oriented and in deep sand provide little grip. Overall, I felt less confident on the shorter bike, and as it turns out, I did have a tip over on one particularly sandy bend. And yes, I did take this bike on single track. Why not? Lack of ground clearance is why not. The original KLR had 8.3 inches, and I remember bouncing pegs and engine guards off stuff last year. This one didn't have the engine guards and had only 7.3 inches of clearance, so I was always cognizant of every larger rock and root coming up. Less travel and ground clearance slows you down a lot, and I found myself tiptoeing nervously down the trail, carefully picking the least bad line between the roots and rocks. Due to the slow speed, I also stalled a few times. It wasn't a fun exercise, but in the bike's defense, it's not built for single track. The KLX 300 is much more suited to this kind of riding. If all you do is gravel and dirt roads, you won't have a problem. And the S, being 2.2 inches lower than the original, is easier to control and keep upright. So my general thoughts about the KLR 650 haven't changed. It is the most affordable big adventure bike out there and has Japanese reliability to boot. Yes, the lack of basics like a tachometer or a sixth gear is annoying, but this bike is no frills, all business. It won't get you there as fast as a KTM, but it will get you there and home without issue. Something that cannot always be assumed about some of the high-performance Euro bikes. And now riders of smaller statures have a chance to enjoy this bike as well without paying for extra parts or labor. An important feature given that this is a value-oriented product. So yes, you can accompany all of your BMW riding buddies on this motorcycle. You won't keep up on pavement, in the straights or in the twisties, but you will off-road, maybe even more than keep up, for a third of the price. And you can reach the ground easy. Bonus. So to sum up, the S is better on the road but gives up a bit of ultimate off-road performance to the standard model. Not gravel or dirt road performance, but on serious trails you want that extra travel. Most riders won't ride it like I did and will never notice that slight shortcoming, but if you're trying to decide between the two models, that's the difference. And if you've always wanted a bigger ADV bike but were worried about seat height, now you have an inexpensive option with good all-around capability. You're not racing enduros on it, but you'll get yourself and your gear most places you want to go. Having already lowered a bike for my wife, I recognize that this is an important trend and I hope other manufacturers follow soon. Honda has just offered a lowered version of its CRF 300L straight from the showroom, so this seems to be catching on. Moral of the story, give customers what they want, and they seem to want a lower option. Which tow bike would you like to see in the lower guise for yourself or to get a family member on two wheels? Please share your thoughts in the comments below and ride safe.